In my follow-up regarding Tucker Carlson's comments basically rewarding Kyle Rittenhouse for his awful actions in Kenosha, Wisconsin, I'm reminded of Genesis 4:7. Genesis says, sin is looking over you. It desires to have you. And because of that, you must rule over it. The whole point is that faced with a pressure situation, there's every opportunity to act in a way that simply is, well, sinful, like shooting someone. But just because a person does that doesn't mean it's something they should have done. That's why it's called a sin. What Kyle Rittenhouse did was wrong. He had no business down there. He was too young. There are reports that his mother drove him down there. I certainly hope that's not the case, because if so, she's in trouble. And his only out, it would seem, is that he's an only child, and this would be his first offense. But the bottom line is he crouched down and purposefully shot not one, but two people. He took aim. And the sin that a number of you present is, even though faced with the horrible image of what he did, you defend him as acting in self-defense when the people that were running behind him, if you look at the film, were not actively shooting at him. He tripped. What's sad is that there wasn't anyone to say, hey, shouldn't you be at home? Shouldn't you go home? This is a gigantic error in judgment. A gigantic mistake. The bottom line is this: just because someone does something that you approve of, just because this person's political stripe would seem to be for the president of the United States, and he apparently has attended a couple of, or at least one Trump rally and sat up close to the president, doesn't mean that you should rubber stamp the bad that he does. Also, it does not mean that you should do it yourself. That's not the kind of country we need. It's not the kind of country I want, and it's not the kind of country that anyone who believes in God, who has a cool head, who is reasonable or sensible, would even try to obtain. It's wrong. And all this, next statement I make, is appropriate. You should know the difference between right and wrong. You should not be so given to emotion that you react on your first impulse. A number of you out there who responded reflect the crowd who would act on their first impulse. I believe they call it the mob. The last thing that we need is for anyone to be part of the mob. Now, I'm not advocating for anybody to go to a point where they identify and speak out against people they think might be that way, like a Mr. Rittenhouse. That's not what I'm saying either. I'm simply saying that what he did was wrong. And worse is that he was encouraged to do it, it would appear, by his mother and by others. He killed two people. It doesn't matter what color they were. The reason I'm silent is because I think about his single mother. Because I am largely the product of a single mother who divorced my father when I was 6 years old, excuse me. So I'm more than sympathetic to that situation. But I also think, when I think of Kyle Rittenhouse, of the Columbine shooting. If the Columbine perpetrators were people who went in and said, well, they were right-wing supporters of gun rights and the ultra-right and all of that, would you have stood for what they did? It's not right. And we have to uphold our set of laws. If you say that you believe in an America that's guided by laws, then you must acknowledge when someone has broken those laws. And that's what's happened.